Hello, I'm Miguel DeLiu, and welcome to the special Halloween edition of Sports Playback, the show that brings you all the best highlights, scores, and matchups from Lawndale, Lawndale, and Hawthorne. It was a scary Week 8 for all three of our schools, but all three came ready to play, but only one tasting victory at the end of the night. The end of the season is drawing near, and playoffs are approaching fast. Now we are getting a clear picture of who the best of the best really are. First up, the Lawndale Olympians traveled to Torrance to take on the high-flying South Torrance Spartans in Pioneer League action. The Spartans were big favorites coming to this one as they came in hard with a 5-1 record. Despite all the hype, Lawndale didn't buy into it. The determined Olympians kept bringing it to the Spartans until the last second of the game. But South proved to be the better team that night, intercepting Edson Santos 3 times on their way to defeating Lawndale 49-31. Next up, the Lawndale Cardinals, riding their momentum from the previous week. They were on the road taking on the Beverly Hills Normans. The Normans were no match for Chris Murray and company as Lawndale took the W 47-7, extending their winning streak and scoring 109 points while only allowing 36 points over the past 3 weeks. And now for last week's Game of the Week. The Hawthorne Cougars welcomed the undefeated El Segundo Eagles to Hellcat Field for a matchup under the lights. Hawthorne came in as a definite underdog, but I spoke with Coach Pasinger before the game, and he told me his team was not intimidated at all and was looking to pull off a huge upset. This game was defiantly entertaining and full of emotion. Let's check out the highlights. Coach Pasinger, in his second year as the Cougars head coach, very confident in his team. The undefeated Eagles getting pumped up as they get ready to take the field. Here we go, the Eagles kicking off the start. Jamal Neal back to receive. Takes it at the 10-yard line, jukes one defender, makes some nice moves. He has daylight with blockers on his left. Neal is going all the way to the house, 90 yards, as the Cougars draw first blood, leading 7-0. Eagles looking to answer. New bar hands off to number 3, Miguel Wagner-Bagwez. He shakes his way through the defense, cuts it left, and in the end zone, touchdown El Segundo, and we are all tied up 7-7. On first down, Lars Dubar, the highly recruited senior quarterback, play action, rolls right, throws a bomb right into the hands of number 2, Hassan Hendricks, and he steamrolls in the end zone. Touchdown, Eagles up 14-7. On third and long, Mapu out of the shotgun takes the snap, tosses a screen pass to Paris McDaniel, and he does what he does best with a few nice blocks in front of him. McDaniel's off to the races, 62-yard touchdown. Hawthorne ties it up 14-14. Eagles back on offense, first and 29. New bar out of the shotgun, looks and throws right down the middle to a wide open pass to Wase in the end zone. The sophomore puts El Segundo up by 7. Following an interception by the Cougars, New bar looks and throws a tight spiral to his running back in the end zone. Wagner-Bagwez with another score. New bar again with a man in motion, takes the snap, looks right this time, back to Tawase, who catches the ball and dives in the end zone for another touchdown. Eagles up 34-14 at the half. Once again, El Segundo play action. This time it's the tight end, Jackson Waltz, with the catch. And again, Carsaboom with a block on the way to another Eagles score. The Cougars were not done yet. Mapu takes it himself with a quarterback sneak. Touchdown, Hawthorne. Unfortunately, the game was out of reach at this point. El Segundo would add a few more scores, winning this one 67-21 and remaining perfect on the season. Hawthorne didn't come up with the win, but they did do something that no other team has done to the Eagles yet. The Cougars are the only team to put up more than 7 points on the El Segundo defense this year. Even with the loss, Coach Pasinger was happy with the effort of his team. Tamara Lauda caught up with Coach after the game.
What can you take from this game?
We kept playing. We played to the end. That's all we can do. That's all I can ask for out of my kids.
In fact, Hawthorne gave the Eagles so much trouble that quarterback Lars Newbar had to play a full 4 quarters of football for the first time this season. But in the end, El Segundo prevailed, keeping their perfect record intact. All right, can you believe it? It's week 9 already. Let's take a look at the league standings heading into this week. First up in the Pioneer League, sitting at the top is West Torrance in sole possession of first place with a 3-0 record, followed by South Torrance, Torrance, and North Torrance, all tied, each with a 2-1 league record. Centennial and Lusinger are fighting over who will remain in last place, both with an 0-3 record. Now onto the Ocean League standings. With a tie for first place, both El Segundo and Lawndale are atop the league with a perfect 3-0 record. Santa Monica is second with a 2-1 record, and our very own Hawthorne Cougars are third with a 1-2 record. And finally, Culver City and Beverly Hills are babysitting the bottom with an 0-3 record. Time is running out for these teams to make it happen, and each game will get more and more important from here on out. Well, we have 3 great matchups this week, and being Halloween, you never know what will occur. First up, the Lawndale Cardinals visited the El Segundo Eagles last night at Hazeltine Field in a battle of 2 first-place teams in the Ocean League. This game was played on a Thursday instead of the usual Friday because of Halloween, and we will bring you all the highlights and the score next week right here on Playback. The 3-5 Lusinger Olympians are back at the comfort of their own home as they welcome the 5-3 North Torrance Saxons. Lusinger is still winless in the Pioneer League, and what a task in front of them tonight in search of that first win. North Torrance is coming off a win against Torrance 23-15 in a game that the Saxons forced 5 interceptions that sealed the victory. It wasn't all treats for the Saxons, though, as they lost quarterback Chris Kawawi with an ankle injury, and his status is a game-time decision. All right, it's time to get ready for this week's Game of the Week. Tonight, we are staying at Hellcat Field as another intriguing matchup from the Ocean League is featured. The 3-5 Hawthorne Cougars welcome in the winless Culver City Centaurs. Hawthorne's looking to bounce back from that loss to El Segundo last week, and we would love to put another exciting game in front of you tonight. Look for Paris McDaniel to continue his dominant season as he continues to be a bright spot in the Cougars offense this year. On the other hand, though, don't let the record fool you, as we've mentioned before. The Centaurs haven't tasted victory yet this season, but they have played a very tough schedule and have always come to play. This is a matchup of 2 very young but very talented teams that are looking to make some noise in the very tough Ocean League. I have a feeling we're in store for another exciting game on the gridiron. I'll be joining the guys on the field in just a little bit. So, for the Sports Playback crew, I'm Miguel DeLeo. Let's throw it down the field, guys. Take it away.
All right, thanks to Egidio DeLeo. Another terrific highlight show from him. And, well, he's going to be out here, out of the cold here. Hopefully it's, well, actually, yeah, we need the rain, don't we?
A little bit wouldn't hurt.
That's right. And from Hellcat Field, along with McCall Hall, Rufus Washington, I'm Lou Stowers. It's senior night here at Hellcat. The Hawthorne Cougars are welcoming in winless Culver City. The Centaurs just looking to get a little respect and maybe get the glue back into their program.
Absolutely. You know, Coach Wright told me tonight before the game that it's really about turning boys into men. So I believe that tonight, Culver City will definitely turn their boys into men and get a victory from the heart.
And one of their best players, Manny Weather, is out of the ball game, so it is going to be a little bit of an injury-plagued Cougar team as well.
Well, they're missing their 2 best receivers. They've still got some other weapons, though, and as long as Paris McDaniel, number 5, is on the field, hey, they've got a great shot at this game. And as you mentioned, this is all about positioning yourself to have an opportunity for a playoff slot. And right now, Hawthorne must win tonight in order to keep their playoff hopes alive. And if they do, guess what? I hate to get ahead of ourselves, but I'm so excited about it. Next week, they would play Lawndale. Winner take all, man, for a shot at the playoffs.
That's right, in their first Ocean League appearance. That's going to be a terrific game, and we'll be back with the kickoff right after this.
Hi, I'm Donnell Beverly from the University of Connecticut, home of the 2011 National Championship UConn Huskies basketball team, and your Lusinger Olympians.
Beverly around the back, follow-away jumper, good, beautiful shot.
It wasn't too long ago that I was playing basketball right here.
I just want to thank him for having me here. I'm honored to play here.
And the Huskies are the top dog in 2011.
Winning the NCAA championship has always been a goal of mine, but so is getting a great education that will last me a lifetime. You can achieve your goals too. All you have to do is work hard and dream hard, and you can do anything you put your mind to.
Just about ready to kick things off, and the Cougars will be receiving the ball. Paris McDaniel, and we'll have to see who else is going to be kick returning since Jamal Neal is out of the game. Paris McDaniel on the near side. And we'll just have to wait and see. It might be Drew Lands as the ball is picked up at about the 10-yard line. And it'll be 1st and 10 at about the 27 to start things off.
So good field position for the Hawthorne Cougars to start this contest, an important one for them. Of course, we know they come into the game, tonight's contest, with an overall record of 3-5, but 1-2 in Ocean League competition and a chance to get to that magical number of 3. There are 2 guaranteed slots out of this particular league and 4 at-large in the division.
And they're going to call it the 27-yard line, 1st and 10. And its starting quarterback is Marte Mapu. And getting the ball is Paris McDaniel. McDaniel breaks out of 3 tackles and is finally taken down, Rufus, after about a 10-yard gain. And that'll be close to a 1st down, depending on where the ball is marked.
And the indication is that it's a 1st down.
1st down. That was a gain of 10 yards.
So 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line.
So Paris McDaniel picking up where he left off last week. Lou, our player of the game, just had a huge game. In fact, between he and Maypoo, who was a Tip of the Hat award winner, as I say, if you've got those 2 ingredients, you got a pretty good chance of winning. And this, of course, is senior night. We'll profile some of those young men as we go along through the contest, but this is their last appearance here at Hellcat Field, barring a playoff opportunity.
Run again up to the 40-yard line, so about a 3-yard gain for Paris. And it'll be 2nd down and 7. So we saw these Centaurs play against Lawndale at Lawndale and beat them 42-10. It shouldn't have been that close.
Right. Lawndale beat them.
Right. And
Oh,
McDaniel gets the ball and gets it's a loss on the play of about 2-3 yards, so it goes back to about the 42-yard line. Excuse me, the 36-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and 11. So we'll call it a loss of 4. So a big 3rd down early for the Cougars on Halloween. You've got a beautiful tie scaring everybody tonight. Out of the eye, double tight end set. McDaniel gets it, but he is wrestled to the ground by one of the linebackers.
And you know, we talked about what Hawthorne is playing for in this game, and that is to keep their playoff hopes alive. As Coach Pazinger said, it's a 2-game playoff process for them right now just to get in the official playoffs. This is the start of their playoff season. If you're Culver City right now, you're playing for a measure of pride and just looking for any kind of way to get a W on your side of the ledger, which they don't have so far coming into tonight's contest at 0-8.
Making the big defensive play was Simon Valenzuela. Evan Tillman, the receiving Centaur, lets it roll dead, and the punt, that is, by Flores. Nick Flores' punt goes to the 30-yard line, so it'll be 1st and 10 for Culver City at that point.
And a pretty good punt by Flores to push them back some and give us defense an opportunity to work with a longer field than they might otherwise, given some of the kicking challenges that South Bay teams have had over the years. So a good start in the special teams area for the Cougars.
Quintorius Truitt. There's Polk Anthony at the Wildcat position. And a draw play. And spun out of bounds is Donovan Davis. Now you got to try to contain that young man because he can rack up the yards.
You definitely have to. Davis was one of the guys, as you mentioned, that we saw a couple of weeks ago. And this team does have some stars on their team, without a doubt. Davis is one. Polk Anthony is another that we saw. Fred Wadibia, number 6. At some point in the course of tonight's game, we're certain to call his name.
Polk Anthony starting at quarterback tonight. Davis spins out of a tackle, and Solomon Davis finally grabs a hold of him and finished off by Sean Horton.
Well, Coach Pasinger would tell you that wasn't much of a tackle attempt. That was a reach and grab attempt, which completely missed him, as you can see right there on the replay. And then coming in to make the tackle was Saladin Davis, with some assistance by none other than Paris McDaniel.
So it's 2nd down and 5 after Davis's 5-yard gain. And a draw play by Anthony, and he is off to the races. Down to the 20 and tripping into the end zone. Did he make it in?
I think they're going to say he stepped out of bounds inside the 10, down near the 5.
But a huge gain for Polk Anthony, a surprise starter at quarterback tonight. And that is right near the goal. Right about the 5-yard line, Rufus.
And we're going to see coming up on the replay, right way stepped out of bounds, given a nudge by that looks like McDaniel, who was chasing him down and pushed him just enough to get him out of bounds.
So headed towards the end zone, a big push, and
looks like it is.
In?
That's in. That's the indication from the side judge. And again with the carry, that was Polk Anthony.
All right, so it's 6-0 Centaurs in favor over the Cougars with 6:43 left to go in the first quarter.
You can see the crowd push there, and boy, that O-line just helped him get across. 5-yard touchdown run for Polk Anthony.
So it's a 70-yard scoring drive as kicking the ball through the uprights, Tony Caceros, and it's 7-0 Culver City over the Hawthorne Cougars with 6:22 left in the first quarter on senior night.
And this game starts out kind of like last week's game did between the Cougars and El Segundo, where surprisingly the Cougars jumped out to the quick early 7-0 lead. Of course, we all know how that turned out, although they battled throughout the game. Now in this game, again, a 0-8 Culver City Centaur team has come in here and jumped on the Cougars first.
All right, so getting ready to receive the ball is Saladin Davis along with Paris McDaniel. And getting ready to kick the ball off is Tony Caceros. A long kick, and that drives Davis back to the goal line. That's going to be called a touchback.
Touchback, and that's I think, Lou, for future consideration, one of those rules that they may want to give consideration to changing. You know, I'd really have to talk to somebody with CIF office in the football section of it to kind of figure out exactly what the rationale is behind it. But just like with basketball, where now players can go into the lane on the release, which is the same as in college and the same as in the NBA, one day you're going to see this rule change, because there's no reason why the young man shouldn't have had an opportunity to bring the ball out. But instead, even if your momentum takes you into the end zone after you've caught it in fair territory, it's still an automatic touchback.
Handoff, and Hawthorne is going backwards. McDaniel on a loss again. May have gotten back to the line of scrimmage barely. But a second down and 10.
Crowd starting to filter in and just a little bit more, a bit sparse when at kickoff time. I think some folks are still out getting some trick-or-treat festivities still going on. But now that we've had kickoff, a few more people are trickling in.
And Jacobo is in a quarterback now, but no, actually, check that. It's Mapu is still in, as the pass is incomplete. So it's third down and 10. So we have a timeout, an official timeout, as the lights went out in here, were turned off in here, and that turned the lights out on the scoreboard.
Talk about an era of connectivity.
Okay, so we get the scoreboard back on where it's third down and 10, 6:03 left in the first quarter. Mapu at quarterback.
Going to have movement by one of the lines. Initially, I thought I saw it. Well, okay, the referee saw it as Hawthorne. I thought I saw it as Culver City, but again.
Usually, it's the offense down at that end. So, 5-yard penalty. It'll be third down and 15.
And this is only our second drive of the game, Lou, but right now, from what we've seen in the first 7 or 8 plays of this Hawthorne offense, they're a little bit out of sync right now.
And they sure are. Back to pass is Mapu, and the ball is caught, but that's not going to be nearly enough for a first down. James Whittington, the junior, with the catch.
And it looks like they're going to say it was incomplete after all.
Okay.
They mark it back at the line of scrimmage, which is down at the 15-yard line.
So third and 15, Flores is going to kick the ball, and Tillman for Culver City is inside at the 40-yard line as he backs up, calling for the fair catch at the 44, and it'll be first and 10 there. So actually that was number 41, Elijah Salazar, one of the sophomores on this Centaur team that Coach Wright, was talking about. Some of the guys that have to step up, some of the sophomores.
Well, right now that Cougar defense is going to have to step up, Lou. They've given Culver City the ball in excellent field position. Culver City already up by 7 at 7-0, and look, they're in Cougar territory to start this drive.
Polk Anthony back at the quarterback position. Hands the ball off to Davis, coming around the right. Davis misses him, and another big gain over the left side for Culver City. Down to about the 35-yard line. So a gain of 9 yards.
Donovan Davis, one of the senior captains on this team, 5'9", 185-pound running back, also plays on the defensive side of the ball as a D-back.
Well, like you said, this Culver City may not have a win, but they still have a lot of good players. But now Hawthorne's defense gets the hair up on the back of their neck, and a big push. And Davis goes back to the 40-yard line.
Well, again, the defense, that time able to bring him down. But once again, you see a lot of just grabbing and reaching and not tackling, man. I mean, you got to just lower the boom on some guys, get down, put your shoulder pad into somebody to bring them down. And that's not what they're doing. But they were able to force a 3rd and long on this play.
Sean Horton with the tackle, and another good defensive play by Hawthorne. Horton in there again. Also, big old number 52, Marcos Bahena, a 280-pound senior. So it'll be 4th down and 5 after the no gain.
And that's how you wrap up and tackle. And that's the difference between stopping guys for little or no gain and reaching and grabbing and them getting away from you and picking up 4 and 5 yards.
So timeout, it looks like. Jamal Wright and crew probably wondering if they should go for it on 4th down.
That's a 50-50 call if you ask me. From here, your punter would set up right at about the 50-yard line for a punt, and a decent punter certainly would be attempting to the coffin corner kick to nail it inside the 10-yard line. If they do elect to go for it, that would say to me they don't have a lot of confidence in their kicking game, at least on the punting side of the ball.
Now, from what we saw, the kicking game was pretty good.
And
but it looks like they're going to go for it.
Yeah, one of the other things you may want to do, and this may be a thought process as well, hey, if we can put them in a huge hole right now, let's do it.
Anthony back to pass and puts it under and runs.
Doesn't get it.
And doesn't get it. Horton is there again for the Cougars. Also getting up off the bottom of the pile is Joseph Bradshaw.
And I think if we see the replay, this was excellent stay-at-home defense by the Cougars. Nice pump fake there by Anthony. Pulls the ball down, decides to go for it, and boy, a couple of Cougars step in there to bring him down, among them Joseph Bradshaw.
So it was a 4-yard gain for Polk Anthony, but the Centaurs turned the ball over, so it's as good as a punt from, say, the 25-yard line.
Well, yeah, but going for it, theoretically, they probably would have had him inside the 10. So here's the deal. No matter how you slice it, Cougars got great field position out at about the 37-yard line. Now they're going to burn a timeout here, and I think that's the first charge timeout to either team.
That's the first one for Hawthorne. They've each burned one. Jamal Wright took a timeout to decide whether to go for it.
That's
on
right.
Down.
The snack bar is open.
How quickly we forget.
Go over there and get something out
Sure it's not that tie looking at you and blinding you there? That's a beautiful tie. We got to get it. Well, we did get a shot of that in the pregame.
Not really, but we do have some Snickers.
So each team having burned a timeout to here in the first quarter. Gosh, we've still got officially 4 minutes and 23 seconds.
Yeah, you were mentioning about trick-or-treaters and the fans finally starting to come in. We're seeing a lot of youngsters out on the streets when I left the house there at about 5:30. And also keeping my eyes out once I got off the freeway.
Let's go Cougars.
And hopefully everybody has a safe Halloween.
Absolutely.
So it'll be 1st and 10, spread offense for the Cougars. Mapu completes the pass. Whittington catches it and loses his footing and might have lost yardage on that. And he did. So it'll be 2nd down and 12 after the 2-yard loss.
Just never got his footing, made the catch, and it wasn't a field condition issue. It was, as Chris Berman would say, stumbling, bumbling.
Just couldn't get his traction.
12 yards.
Never got turned upfield.
Let's make some noise out there. Let these Cougars know that we're out.
USC double tight end set out of the eye. Mapu hands the ball off to McDaniel. Can't go to the right, tries to go back to the left, and nothing doing, and another big surge by the Centaur defense.
And as you said a couple of drives ago, here's what's happening. The Cougars are going in reverse.
Yeah.
Now you've got a 3rd and long. Looks like it's at least a 3rd and 20, or certainly almost a 3rd and 20.
It's back to the 29, so yeah, it's darn close. It's 3rd and 19 at the least. So Paris lost 6 yards on that one.
On a drive that started at the 38-yard line.
Mapu back to pass, and that was a dangerous floater. That one almost picked off by Ulysses Santiago. So it's going to be 4th down and about 18, 19 yards. Officially, they are calling it 20.
Once again, Mapu drops back. At least had Paris Daniels in his sight, trying to lob it over the head of the defenders, but ball out of the reach of anybody, basically. So it's a 4th down.
Back to receive the punt is Evan Tillman from Flores. High punt. Tillman goes back to about the 42. He fumbles the ball. Hawthorne still loose. Oh, looked like Culver City got it.
Wow.
Tillman is there. Also, number 22, Louis Schultz.
A little bit of excitement there. Cougars had a shot at it.
Yeah.
Once again, Culver City playing trick or treat with them, man, and that was a trick that they played on. Hey, we'll fumble the ball, see if you can get it. We'll fumble it twice.
Yeah.
Cougars still looking for their own treat here on Halloween 2014.
Well, even though Culver City almost gave it to them, they're going to have to take it away now with 2:42 left in the first quarter. Polk Anthony back out at quarterback. You know, when we were talking to, there you see number 9, talking to Coach Wright and talking about how Quintorius Truitt was doing, how he was developing, and there was a little bit of a hesitation and an eye roll, like, uh-oh, I'm not going to tilt my hand.
Right.
But Polk Anthony takes off like a Wildcat quarterback, gets to about the 41-yard line. So a gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
This Cougar defense being asked to do a whole lot so far here in the first quarter. They spent a lot of time on the field because a couple of 3-and-outs by that offense, unable to generate anything. And that one looks like it should be against the offense, but let's see. Well, you got the side judge running in to give some information to the official.
Yeah, it will be against the offense. So each team with an illegal motion penalty, and it'll be 2nd down and 13. 2nd down and 12, excuse me.
Yeah.
There you saw it. Have a sideline receiver screen, and the ball is completed to Donovan Davis. Davis gets out of tackles and gets the first down and then some into Cougar territory down to about the 40-yard line, or did he step out before then?
Well, doesn't matter. He stepped out after it was a first down, but looks like we got a flag on the field, and it's coming back, and the indication for one of the Cougars is that it's against Culver City. Usually the area in which holding is called, and we'll see what the referee has to say. But, boy, that was a big play for Culver City, and if it comes back, which it is, tough break for them.
Sure was. Probably a hold at that point in that part. So it is holding. Fred Gravette calling it. Umpire Sherman Lytle. John Philactu is the line judge. Paul Just Jr., the head linesman. Back judge is Greg Boger. So,
boy, that's going to make it a...
should be back to the 26, they call it 25.
Yep.
they've got to get out to nearly the 50, 49 call it, so that's a 2nd and 24.
And now we have another penalty. Does somebody line up offsides? Offsides against Hawthorne is the call. Can't do that once you're given a gift.
Right. So now 2nd and 24 or 2nd and 25 is what they've got posted on the board. Becomes 2nd and 20.
So a run goes nowhere.
Nothing doing. In there, big number 28 for the Cougars. That's Lasala Tai, the junior, 6'5", 240 pounds.
Yeah, Latai was in there right away.
And he's one of those guys, Lou, that may play on Saturday and Sunday. I was in my doctor's office a couple of weeks ago, and there was a guy, we were talking sports, and he had played in high school. And he said, I'll be honest with you, my coach always knew I'd be a Thursday, Friday player. But we had some Saturday, Sunday guys on our team as well. I was like, I'd never quite heard it put like that.
A little bit of trickery, and the pass is complete. But good defense by the Cougars, spreading things out. And pushing the runner out of bounds was Marcos Mejena. And it'll be 4th down and about 9 yards to go from the 40-yard line. So a 10-yard gain.
And you got to think in this situation this time, Culver City will punt the ball, so the Cougars will have an opportunity again to get the ball in pretty decent field position. And now a second timeout being taken here in the first quarter by the Hawthorne Cougars. Didn't have the right personnel on the field. Coach Pazinger quickly recognizes it, saying it to a couple of guys, don't you understand when you're supposed to be out there? And again, force, timeouts. I mean, you only get 3 per half. Those things are like diamonds, man. I mean, you've got to really, really treasure them and use them judiciously. And I know that Coach didn't want to have to burn 2 here in the first quarter alone.
So 42 seconds are left on the clock. And the Cougars will get the ball back. But what a big play by number 28, Lasala Tai. He's come up huge here in the early going. Usually he's a slow starter and gets going around the end of the ball game, but it's good to see him get going at the beginning. Paris McDaniel back at his own 30-yard line to receive the punt. And lets it go, and it gets a huge Culver City bounce, and it's down inside or right around the 5-yard line, Rufus.
Wow, boy, you talk about a huge break for them. That was almost a 50-yard punt. So, Coach Jamal Wright says, so, Rufus, you think I don't have a kicking game? Watch this.
So they spot the ball right at the 5-yard line.
Ball is on the 5-yard line.
With 33.4 seconds left in the first quarter on Halloween night.
And I got to tell you, Lou, Lasala Tai, 6'5" junior. I want to see if maybe Coach can figure out something for him on the basketball team.
He looks like he could go up and get a few rebounds. As Paris McDaniel trying to get some yardage, but is held at the 5-yard line. Clock rolling with 15 seconds left in the first quarter. Since a 3-yard gain, he had 13 yards and 2 carries. It's all been backwards for Davis. As a matter of fact, he's 7 carries, 0 net yards.
And so again, this is now we've got another official's whistle. Okay, quarter is what that one is. I know they're not burning another timeout, so that's the end of the first quarter. Boy, with Lawndale in a hole, 7-0 on the scoreboard, and they're in a hole in field position as they're down at the 5-yard line. trying to get something going. Not a good first quarter for him, Lou.
I do believe Egidio DeLeu has a hit. Am I right, Tom? Hello, Tom. Okay, let's go down to Egidio.
Thank you, guys. Well, the Cougars hit a little bit with 5 starters out tonight. Amongst those, 2 of their top receivers, number 16, Jamal Neal with a knee injury, and then number 18, Raja Neely with bruised ribs, both out. So the Cougars offense lacking, down 7. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Egidio. Also out is Benjamin Delgado, number 24, usually playing fullback, also good defender. He has a concussion, and then linebacker Lorenzo Williams is out, along with Suliasi Vaca, the best offensive lineman. He is out as well. So it'll be second down, and they're going to call it 9. So I guess we can give Paris McDaniel a yard on that last carry. And handoff again, trying to go left are the Cougars, and maybe about a yard. That's Saladin Davis with the carry.
So the Culver City Centaurs have picked a night to play the way that they were expected to play in the preseason. Of course, this season just is not, as they've come over here to the Ocean League, as well as not been the kind of season they thought they were going to have going in, that many of their fans. But, boy, right now, they're playing some pretty impressive football on both sides of the ball.
Well, for Marte Mapu and the Cougars, this is their biggest third down of the game right now. They really have to get something going, Rufus. Down 7-0 and 11-10 left to go in the first half. Mapu looks, throws over the middle. It's tipped and dropped a little bit high for Diego Jimenez.
And, boy, Justin Cox, number 19, sophomore D-back, had a shot at that. Because one thing about when you go up, if you don't make the reception and you tip it, as you see him tipping it right there, now that ball is up for grabs by anybody. And to show you what we mean by field position game, the return man for Culver City is setting up at the Cougar 35-yard line.
Now that's where Tillman did in the first quarter. Is now Flores from his own end zone kicks it. And a nice kick, backs Tillman up to about the 38-yard line, drops the ball again, picks it up, and is spun down by Sean Horton.
And there's flags on the field. This will be interesting to see what the flag is. But, boy, I can tell you the Cougar coverage wasn't under the ball, and therefore they had no shot at that fumble. Centaur return man picked up his own fumble, but lost even more yardage on the play.
So we'll find out what the penalty is. A nice punt by Nick Flores.
And the penalty may help out the Cougar effort if this is a 15-yarder on top of where the tackle took place.
They're still trying to sort things out.
We're trying to spot the ball to determine where they're going to mark off the penalty from.
Okay, so it appears the 44-yard line is where they're going to start marking it off at. Or is it at the 50?
No, there was no players back there.
Illegal use of the hands, so it's a big one. Goes back to the 40-yard line of Culver City.
Right, and that makes it a 15-yard penalty. That's what we're saying. They started at about the 44, and they're at the 40 of the other way. At Culver City's own 40, instead of a drive that could easily have started at the 35-yard line of
Polk hands it off to Davis, and Davis almost gets away, but making could be a touchdown-saving tackle was Joseph Bradshaw. He just hung on to his feet for dear life, but at any rate, it's a 1st and 10 at Hawthorne 45-yard line.
And we got to call it like we see it, Lou, and that was just a matter of poor tackling there. nothing more, nothing less for this Cougar team. Just poor tackling.
So they get the 15 back, they being the Centaurs. Split out to the near side is Xavier Ryan, who was listed as out before, but he's back in there. And Polk Anthony letting it go, and it goes incomplete at the 20-yard line.
Well, applying pressure was number 35 and number 29 for the Cougars, and of course that's Eric Holmes and Sean Horton, and that's what caused that throw to go just a little bit astray. So good pressure applied that time by the Cougar defense. As I mentioned, though, they've had to spend a lot of time on the field.
So it'll be 2nd and 10, just the second passing attempt by Polk Anthony. He's 1 out of 2 for 10 yards. Has Davis with him as the lone running back. As a slot receiver. Hands it off to Davis, and good defense by Hawthorne. It's a 5-yard loss, and got a penalty flag. Let's hope it's not a face mask.
Wow. And boy, Polk Anthony certainly thinks it's going to be against, and it is. You called it right, a face mask against the Cougars. And man, that's going to be an automatic first down.
So it's
no,
a little one, a 5-yard penalty. Usually it is the larger variety, but
boy, and I thought they had done away with the big and little on those face masks.
So it's 2nd and 8.
Well, that's a big break for the Cougars on that play.
Handoff to the Culver City running back, and he is still running, getting down to about the 20-yard line, and finally caught up with is Fred Poindexter, and he gets it all the way down to the 16-yard line.
Wow. And again, when we see on the replay, you'll see that defenders were in there on him. You'll see right here as he makes this initial rush through, there are a couple of guys right there. It's hard to see in that shot, but I will tell you that they had an opportunity to wrap him up at the line of scrimmage and just flat missed it.
27 yards, on the run, and Hawthorne makes up for it there by getting Polk Anthony. Marcos Bahena with the tackle again, and a 5-yard loss back to the 21-yard line.
See the ball mishandled there by Polk, but finally gets it under control. And in all of that, boy, it still takes a committee effort by the Cougars to bring him down.
Eric Holmes was the first man to hit him. Polk Anthony keeps the ball. Bahena trying to catch up with him. Finally does after he was headed off of the pass. So good defense by the Cougars, and Paris McDaniel cutting off Polk Anthony at the pass. Gets back to the 14-yard line, though. So it'll be 3rd down, and we'll call it a long 8.
And Polk Anthony, as you mentioned, Lou, being called on, a senior, 5'10", one of the captains on this team, to give up his running back spot and come over to be the QB, see if he can make something happen.
Throws it over the middle on a screen pass to Davis. Davis catches it, gets out of a tackle and into the end zone for a touchdown, Culver City.
Wow.
OMG. Talk about haunting plays.
That one was definitely haunting, Lou. Again, you know, as we said, I don't think that the Cougars have yet awakened to understand that they're in a game tonight.
Well, maybe they saw the 0 on the win column of Culver City. Culver City saw an opportunity to come in here and get a win.
Oh, shit.
And that was a TD pass to Donovan Davis.
PAT is good, so with 8:13 left to go in the second quarter. Culver City leads 14-0. On the 14-yard pass from Polk Anthony to Davis.
Wow. Boy, you talk about Halloween, you talk about trick or treat. Boy, this is really turning into a trick against the Hawthorne Cougars, a team that, again, can't say it too often, this for them is a playoff game. Winning this game is critical to keeping their playoff hopes alive. All right, a win tonight puts them in a matchup next week against the Lawndale Cardinals for one of the slots in this team. We already know that El Segundo has wrapped up their slot, so that one's in the bank. It's the other one that's up for grabs that this Cougar team really thought they were going to have a shot at.
Pooch punt, and
wow, that's going to be a penalty. He
wow,
signaled
he
fair
got
catch,
racked.
I thought.
Is he okay? That's Lisala tie, and he may have just gotten knocked out, or just the wind knocked out of him, hopefully.
And
there is a flag. And Lisala is moving around, although you can tell he's in pain.
Well, it wasn't, I mean, it was simply a hit. Now, granted, he was defenseless, if you will, because he had given himself up with the indication of the fair catch. I don't know if we have a replay to see that, but the hit itself was not particularly hard or vicious. There you see the runner coming into him. The defender. Pulls up a bit, bowls him over.
Just a good old-fashioned hit. A football play. And let's hope that Lisala Tai just had the wind knocked out of him.
I think after that hit, we may see Lisala on the basketball court from now.
That's around the corner, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is. Know that Coach Gray is getting his program together over here.
And Lisala Tai looking a little wobbly, like he went around with a prize fighter.
Looks to be okay. Well, obviously okay walking off under his own power.
And taking inventory of the body parts. So that works. This works. Okay, I can do that.
That left shoulder seemingly still aggravating him just a little bit.
And he's going to go right over to the trainer's table. See if we can get one of our crack reporters over there to see what's going on.
Hey, well, none that you call for a crack reporter, there's Cut Spencer on the job.
8:12 left to go in the second quarter. 36-yard line will be the spot of the ball.
Well, I think they've still got a spot.
Or they still have to. That's where it was. Now they'll mark off the penalty.
Which should be 15 yards. That's 10. There's another 15. That'll take it just inside the 50-yard line on the Culver City side of the field. And maybe that'll be, sometimes you look for a spark. You look for something just to fire you up. Well, maybe that's what's going to fire up this Hawthorne Cougar team, because right now, boy, you use the word lethargic. If you look it up in the dictionary, there's a picture of this Cougar team, this entire team that's right there under. They are something lethargic tonight thus far here in this contest.
Just can't get things into sync.
Down, ball on the 49-yard line.
Marte Mapu has McDaniel with him. Back to pass and throws over the middle. It's caught. Maybe they're going to get something going. That should be good enough for a first down at about the 37-yard line.
And it is, and that'll move the chains. So far, their best offensive thrust of the night.
You see the pass is complete to Jesse Guerrero.
Because one of the things you're doing, I was glad to see that pass. I think that's important, Lou, because just as they did last week against El Segundo when they scored 21 points, which, by the way, the most points have been scored by anybody against El Segundo this season. Warren was stretching out that defense.
Bad snap, and McDaniel has to cover it up. So after the nice 14-yard gain, they go all the way back to the 45-yard line.
We're back on the 45-yard line.
So that was an 8-yard loss, and we have to put that in Paris McDaniel's column.
The ball's at the 45, spotted at the 45, needs to get down to the 27-yard line.
Saladin Davis comes in the ball game, and out of the ball game is Guerrero.
Ball's on the 45-yard line. You can also go over there and visit the snack bar.
Hey, you hear the call for the snack bar. Did you smell that barbecue tonight?
I did.
They were tricking us, I tell you.
Now we got a flag thrown from way.
Was that time? Too much time?
That's what it looks like the call is. So once again, boy, you know, I mean, you're something prophetic, Lou, in terms of early on. We talked about when you mentioned how much backwards this team is going, and boy, their backward progression continues.
2nd and 22. Paris McDaniel now another timeout, and Coach Pasinger in frustration slams his headset down to the turf, and I really don't blame him, because the Cougars were just talking about discombobulated and disorganized and trying to get set for this last play.
And he's giving Maypool an earful. You were wondering who the object of his frustration was, and it's his young quarterback. And Marte Maypool, of course, is a sophomore, 6 foot, 160 pounds. But hey, let's go down to McCall Hall.
All right, you guys, it's kind of like FedEx. Do you want Express in the air or do you want Express on the ground? Well, for Culver City, it's Express on the ground. They've already rushed for 113 yards. And running back Anthony Polk has let Coach know, whatever you need, I got you. So be on the lookout for the duo of Anthony Polk and Donovan Davis to keep it going and keep feeding the beast on offense for Culver City. Back to you guys.
The big Centaur beast, and now Mapu trying to get rid of the ball, and as he's being tackled, he does get rid of it, and it's called a pass. Richard Yoshida with the pressure. So it'll be 3rd down and 22.
3rd down.
So that timeout didn't get any results.
None thus far. What it may get you, though, is a replacement. Now, you mentioned that Carlos Jacobo, who's another sophomore, might be ready to play tonight. And right now it looks like the coach is growing frustration. There's one that's just laid up in the air. I mean, I'm not sure where that was intended.
Well, McDaniel, instead of going along the sideline, came in. Then Joseph Bradshaw was along the sideline, but it's 4th down and 22, no matter how you slice it. So nothing seems to be going right for the Cougars tonight. And it does look like Carlos Jacobo is going to start warming up, Rufus, on the sideline.
And that's what I was about to look for, and you're right. He's number 12. He's out there throwing the ball, thinking he may be called upon on the next drive.
Justin Cox back to receive the punt from Nick Flores. He catches it.
Missed tackle.
And
flag.
a flag.
Open field.
And here comes
Missed
Cox.
tackle.
Cox gets to the 50-yard line and is finally dropped down at about the 37. Look out. There was a shove by, was it Nick Flores, the punter? He shoved the Cox after he got up. It was Flores who had to make the tackle.
Well, we've got a flag way back upfield inside the 15-yard line at about the 13. Now they're going to spot it and say the infraction, whatever it was, occurred.
It's an illegal
close to
block.
the 20.
It's an illegal block by Culver City. So does it go back to where the foul was, and then they mark the penalty off there? There's the block.
That's the one that they got right there.
Okay.
So again, that's a break for the Hawthorne Cougars.
Yeah, because it would have been 1st and 10 from inside Hawthorne's 45-yard line.
Well, what you're starting to see, Lou, is the defense having spent so much time on the field here in the first half. 6:33 left in the half. Of course, you know, game-wise, we've been playing a lot longer than that. About 45 minutes of clock time that we've been playing. And in all of that time, I can tell you the defense has been on it for Hawthorne the greater portion of the time. And, boy, here in just the second quarter, they're starting to crack just a bit. Although that was the special teams out there, a lot of guys who play special teams are also in the defensive unit.
Well, the Cougars haven't been really tackling well all game long, Rufus. They've been getting some good penetration on some running plays, like right now. And let's see if they can catch up with the running back. And they do stretch it out and do the Cougars defense. But it's still good enough for a first down.
Well, when you're giving up 10 yards at a chunk and on the carry, that's
Davis.
Donovan Davis. Wow, and as you mentioned, Justin Manyweather, who's injured, the junior. We saw him a couple. Man, if he was out here too, it really might be a night of tricks for the Hawthorne Cougars.
So a 10-yard gain for Davis and the Centaurs, and it's 1st and 10. Polk Anthony gives it to Davis again. And this time doesn't get as much as he's stopped by Eric Mateo and Joseph Bradshaw. But still good enough for a 4-yard gain.
Now we've got an official stoppage by the referee. Looked like there was an injured Centaur on the field. And now he's sending them out. He's like, look, son, if I stop the clock for you, because I think you're injured, you're going to have to go out.
And coming out is Kyle McInnes, number 58. 5:35 clock rolling in the second quarter. On Halloween night and senior night. And depending on the mood of Coach Pasinger, the parents will be out there for senior night. The players might not, depending on Pasinger's mood.
Right.
And the ball is dropped, and Anthony falls on it. Is finally downed by Eric Mateo. So a loss on the play. Back to the 16. Check that. Back to the 21, I'm sorry.
Right, and Mateo coming close to a penalty there. I got to tell you, anybody who spends one day in high school football. So he's down right now. And what you saw was Mateo come in and make contact with him while he was on the field. Referee, really, by rule, could have flagged him on that, but he didn't. And that would have been just a disastrous situation for the Cougars. So another one of those things, man, you got to keep your head in the game at all times.
Timeout on the field. It has to be a timeout for Culver City because Hawthorne doesn't have any left. So it's a big third down for Culver City because if they score another touchdown here, it could really put some distance between them and the Cougars. If Hawthorne's defense holds, it's still a manageable game.
It's still a manageable game, and of course they've got a lot of field they'd have to give up before another score. But the key is they've got to do it now. Here's the problem. I mean, they came in with a lot of expectations, and right now none of them are being met. Of course, we still got lots of football fans. We're not shoveling dirt on them yet, but they need to get going.
They sure do. A young team against an experienced team, although dinged up by injuries and transfers. The Cougars, that is. Lone backfield for Polk Anthony, and he's going to take it right up the middle, and Anthony is taken down. Mateo is there. Also there is Lisea Ty, so it's good to see Ty back out there.
Right, and it's going to be a 4th and short, and you're going to punt this one away. Thought for a second, Coach may have thought about going for it.
So the ball is marked
at about the 26-yard line. You
Okay.
need to get out to the 30 for the first down.
So a 5-yard gain for Anthony. McDaniel creeping back to his 50-yard line, but
That's
the
going to be a safety.
snap goes all the way back,
That's
and
a
he
s-
kicks it back,
Yeah.
and that'll be a safety, but the penalty flag goes up. Don't know why that was.
Well, but it's a penalty flag in
Tony-
the end zone. So regardless, it will be a safety, or at least it should be. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see what the indication is ultimately.
Tony Caceros, that snap getting away from him. Let's see the penalty. No penalty.
And
It's a
there's the
safety.
indication that it's a safety. Any offensive penalty in the end zone with the ball in the end zone results in a safety, and that was one there. So the Cougars get on the board.
At the 4:06 mark via the safety. They'll take it. And now it's a kicking situation for Culver City from their own 20-yard line. So the Cougars should get decent field position with 4:06 left in the half.
Let's go Cougars.
So if the Cougars can score 7 here, they're right back in it.
Well,
Well, they're not out of it now.
No, and those are 2 big points, though. 2 huge points
Yep.
that will come into play a couple of different ways. I can see 2 or 3 scenarios that they may come into play. But right now, on the positive side, the Cougar kicking game, especially after touchdowns, has been pretty solid throughout the season. But this gives them a little breathing room. But any scores and conversions, extra point conversions, make these 2 points off this safety very valuable.
Caceros kicks the ball from his 20-yard line, picked up by Davis at his 36. Gets his way through, trying to get to midfield, and does get to the 48-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Cougars at that point. So a nice return of about close to 15 yards.
Right?
And some good blocking until Justin Cox, who is on his wallet, had McDaniel come right into his arms.
Now, here's what everybody's waiting for, Lou. They're waiting to see who goes out to the field and takes a snap on the center. Is it going to be number 12, Carlos Jacobo, or is it going to be number 10, Marte Mapu? And
It's Mapu.
We see that it's going to be Mapu heading out on this drive. So, Coach Pazinger actually Jacobo is going out on the center.
Oh, is Mapu going to be a receiver then?
Looks like he's out on the far left.
Jacobo hands the ball off to McDaniel, and he gets some running room, but is finally caught up with by Louis Schultz, but gets into Centaur territory. Call that the 48-yard line.
And so Maple is out on the field. We see him there. See on the replay the run by Paris McDaniel. McDaniel just not able to get going tonight the way we're accustomed to seeing him. Boy, he's a powerful running back. A lot of speed. Just haven't had a chance to break it open yet.
2nd down and 7 as Mapu is split to the near side. Handoff right up the middle. And we have
Couple
some
of flags.
late flags. Wonder if it's a face mask the other way.
This may be a situation where, there's a face mask indication by the referee, and he indicates that it's against Culver City. So let's see how big this one is, whether this one is a little one or a big one.
Well, looks like they're running further down the field now.
Well, as long as he's running first down distance down the field, that's the key, and he did.
Automatic first down, so it is a big one. Down to the 35-yard line.
So now what we got, Lou, is a chance, and this is definitely the deepest offensive penetration of the night by the Cougar defense to see if they can take advantage of this scoring opportunity.
McDaniel again, trying to go over left tackle again. And that is tough going.
And there's nothing up the middle for him. I mean, just nothing. He's tried that several times tonight. This is where you got to look at using a guy like McDaniel with a bubble screen or something like that, where basically it's a running play disguised as a pass play.
Well, maybe with Jacobo in there, they can get something going through the air.
But what they've not done successfully tonight, Lou, is to stretch this defense. So, and maybe that's because their receivers are out, because they've not run not one trips play at all.
Jacobo is kept the ball in a quarterback keeper on a bootleg, and that got negative yards. That's going to be a 3-yard loss. So back to the 36. So a big third down play, 3rd and 12.
And boy, we're starting to see what the impact of Jamal Neal and Rajay Neely being out of the contest.
They only have 2 receivers out there on either side. Throw over the middle. There's your throw over the middle. It's complete to about the 30-yard line. And I believe that's Whittington.
That's going to make it a fourth and
Jesse Guerrero.
5 or so. Yeah, 4th and exactly 5. So
a 7-yard pass, the first one for Jacobo in quite a while.
So big 4th down play here for the Cougars.
And they're going for it. You're right. And now a timeout by Culver City.
And that has to be their last of here in the first half.
At least by our count.
Which is as about as unofficial as you can get. But we do a pretty good job. I think that's their finals for both of them. But again, the key
Jamal
here,
Wright, though, taking the timeout, he must be pretty confident, wanted to see what Hawthorne's set was going to be before they set their defense.
Well, boy, right now, all of Hawthorne's sets tonight have been about as basic as you can get. And again, that's because they're missing a couple of guys in the receiving core. And what that's done is that, unfortunately, it's made them almost just a one-dimensional team. And that's how come Paris McDaniel has not had any success tonight. I mean, when you know, hey, they only got one weapon, guys. We don't have to defend 8 other guys. All we got to do is defend one guy.
Right. So McDaniel now in a spread set. Mapu and McDaniel to the near side.
And he's in the slot, and that's a good play. So they've taken him out of the backfield. Hopefully they've got blocking for him. Got to let it go now.
Over to Mapu and makes the catch at the 21-yard line, and let's see where they spot the ball.
Well, it's going to depend on the spot. Wow.
And they're going to call it a first down.
Wow. Wow. A very generous spot. And, of course, there are no challenges in high school.
So Mapu with the reception. And, yeah, without any timeouts left, with 35.8 seconds left, the ball is spiked. So at least they can get a call in. When we look at Jacobo getting the ball over, a nice pass, and Mapu with a nice catch. As you can see, he got the first down by plenty. So it's second down. And the ball is thrown into double coverage.
Looking for McDaniel, though. Skip pass. And I like what Coach Pasinger has done. He's decided to use his athlete. There's some guys who are listed in the program, Lou, as simply an athlete, not by position. That's because they're talented enough that they can do anything that's asked for them on the field. And McDaniel is one of those type of guys. They've said to him now, we need you to go out and be a receiver for us. And that changes the equation just a little bit. So 2 changes that coach has made.
Throw across the middle, and it's picked off after Jacobo was hit. And here come the Centaurs up towards midfield and right at the midfield. And I believe that was picked off by Justin Cox with 21 seconds left in the first half.
Right, but the key is the guy who makes the tackle, again, a missed opportunity, but I think that was number 9, Saladin Davis, who makes the touchdown saving tackle for the Cougars there.
Yeah, that was number 15, Jeremy Marrero, that made the interception.
Yep. And that was Davis that made the tackle. And I think right now, if you're Culver City with 21.3 seconds left, you're going to be glad just to get out of this thing and take your 14-2 lead to the locker room.
Doesn't look like they're going to take a knee here as Polk Anthony swings it out to Davis, spins around, and has another broken tackle. But a nice defensive play by Saladin Davis. And all of that, no gain.
And they'll allow the clock to run out here in the first half. And
so
no, right ahead. As they head to the locker room, as you can see on your screen, Cougars trailing by a score of 14-2 here at the end of the first half.
And do we have a hit from Sebastian Spencer? Let's go down to Sebastian. Cut.
Things Coach Paysinger talked about last week, suffering that loss to El Segundo, was he wanted to win 2 out of the 3 of the next games. And suffering that loss didn't look like it was going to happen there, and down 14-2 right now doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight. But then next week you go to a tough Lawndale team who's playing really well, so it's going to be really tough for them to even get one win in these last couple games. Back to you guys.
Well, there's always a second half.
Right.
That's why they put the time on the clock. So hopefully the Hawthorne Cougars can make the adjustments
But
in
if
the
you're
locker
used to
room.
cutting, you cut at half.
Cut it at the half.
All right.
And senior night, and I believe we're going to record the festivities. Are we not? Okay, well then we're going to take a timeout, and we'll be back with the unofficial stats in the third quarter right after this on City TV.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's 1 every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
All right, Rufus, at the half, it's 14-2 in favor of Culver City on senior night. And speaking of senior night, let's go down to the field and watch the festivities.
Up first, we have Joseph Bradshaw. He is being escorted by Nicole Porsche and Joseph Bradshaw. In the fall of 2015, he plans to attend the University of Oregon. Up next, we have number 4. His name is Jalil Enriquez. He will be escorted by Camila and Paul Enriquez. In the fall, he plans to attend University of California at Los Angeles. Up next is Paris McDaniel. He is number 5. He is being escorted by Mr. and Mrs. McDaniel. In the fall, he plans to attend San Diego University. Up next, we have Drew Lance. He is number 6. He will be escorted by Ty Thompson and Trevin Lance. He plans to attend the University of Oregon this fall. number 7, his name is Jordan France. He will be escorted by Maritime Desior, and his plans are to go to the U.S. military. Up next is Joshua Jacobo. He plans to attend UCLA in the fall, and he has a very special message from his teammates. They said, "Get well soon. We love you very much." Up next, we have Saladin Davis. He is number 9. He is being escorted by Mylisha McConnell and Saladin Davis Sr. He plans to attend San Diego State University in the fall of 2015. Up next is Diego Jimenez. He is number 11. He will be escorted by Rosalind and Benjamin Jimenez. He plans to attend UCLA in the fall of 2015. And next, we have number 31. His name is Christopher Renteria. He will be escorted by Mr. and Mrs. Renteria. He plans to attend the University of Southern California in the fall. Up next is number 36. His name is Nick Poirier. He will be escorted by his fellow friends. His plans are to attend the University of Fullerton this fall. Up next is Giovanni McElroy. He will be escorted by Cy Hicks. He plans to attend the University of Southern California this fall. Up next is number 52. His name is Marcos Benahana. He will be escorted by Juan Benahana. He plans to attend El Camino in the fall. Up next, we have Mark Chisholm. He will be escorted by Denisa Basley and Mark Chisholm Sr. He plans to attend the University of Northern Las Vegas. Up next, we have Kaylin Hoff, who will be escorted by Mr. and Mrs. Hoff. His plans are to attend Los Angeles Harbor College this fall. Up next, we have number 69, Mr. Vaca. He will be escorted by Melanie and Tivia Vaca, and he wants to attend the University of California at Los Angeles in the fall of 2015. Up next is number 79, Eric Mateo. He will be escorted by Mr. and Mr. Mateo. He plans to attend the University of Southern California this fall. Up next, we have our special football managers. Up first, we have Natalie Rivas being escorted by Mr. and Mrs. Rivas. She plans to attend the United States Navy. She plans to enroll. Up next, we have Allison Sellers being escorted by Michelle Sellers and Scott Sellers. She plans to attend Louisiana State University this fall. And last, certainly but not least, we have Tracy Sambaria being escorted by Mr. and Mrs. Sambaria. She plans to attend Cal State Dominions in the fall. And last, you're calling once again number 36 and number 4, Drew Land. And 56, which is Mark Chisholm, being escorted by Mr. Mark Chisholm Sr. He plans to attend UNLV this fall. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give our fall seniors a round of applause. They are very accomplished. Our Cougar family is very proud of them. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. We all love you. Thank you so much for your support over the past 6 to 8 weeks. We really love you. We are so proud of you. And this concludes our show.
Well, congratulations to all the seniors, male and female, and we'll be back with the third quarter right after this.
Hi, I'm Donnell Beverly from the University of Connecticut, home of the 2011 National Championship UConn Huskies basketball team, and your Losing Year Olympians.
Beverly around the back, follow a jumper. Good, beautiful shot.
It wasn't too long ago that I was playing basketball right here.
I just want to thank him for having me here. I'm honored to play here.
And the Huskies are the top dog in 2011.
Winning the NCAA championship has always been a goal of mine, but so is getting a great education that will last me a lifetime. You can achieve your goals too. All you have to do is work hard and dream hard, and you can do anything you put your mind to.
Just before halftime, let's go down to the field and talk to Egidio DeLeo.
Well, thank you, guys. Well, it felt like football weather a little bit ago here. We had a little bit of a drizzle forecast. Does say it's supposed to rain a little heavier throughout the night tonight. We'll see if it affects the ball game. The field, though, at about the 35-yard line behind me a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a big patch of mud there. They try to cover up before the game started. They try to put some sand on it to cover it up. It hasn't really caused any trouble with any of the teams or any of the players so far, but we'll keep an eye on it. It should be a little bit more slipperier as the game goes on. Guys, back to you.
All right, you just got an F in grammar. But, well, some of these offensive numbers wouldn't be too good either in the classroom. Paris McDaniel, 11 carries, -1 yard. And Mapu, 2 out of 6 for 12 yards. Jacobo, 2 out of 5, 13 yards and an interception, as the kickoff by Flore is picked up at about the 2-yard line and still up to about the 30-yard line and finally down there. So it'll be 1st and 10 Centaurs, and the ball was ran back by Evan Tillman.
Well, halftime is your adjustment period, and football, winning football is a game of adjustments. First half didn't favor the Hawthorne Cougars, but you look at Florida State last night, who wear similar colors. That's why I chose to mention them.
Okay.
They were down 21-0 to Louisville, the number 2 ranked team in the country, down 21-0. Came back to win that game, man, in going away fashion. So the Cougars, let's see if they can do something similar tonight.
That's impressive, and well, at least a lot of people sweated out that one, especially in Las Vegas, I'm sure.
Now, one little difference though, the Cougars don't have a guy named Jameis or a guy named Winston.
That's right.
So,
but Culver City has Polk Anthony, and he gets the ball now, and is almost in. Oh boy, he stumbles up to the 50-yard line. Finally, tripping over him was Jaleel Enriquez. And timeout on the field. I believe that's an official's timeout.
Well, it's a first down timeout, and the clock is supposed to stop on the first down, set the chains, and the official winds his arm, which is an indication to the clock operator to start the game clock back up.
So I'm going to call that a 30-yard gain. Check that, a 20-yard gain for Polk Anthony to start things off. And he goes, again, just playing Wildcat. That's what he did against Lawndale.
Another flag comes in at the line, and let's see how this flag's going to affect the play.
After a 1-yard gain. Let's go over some Culver City stats. Anthony, 8 carries, 59 yards and a touchdown, and then in the air, 2 out of 4 for 24 yards and a touchdown. Donovan Davis, 8 carries for 57 yards, and then also 2 catches for 14 yards and a touchdown. As the Centaurs go backwards, is that a hold?
That was a holding penalty against the Centaurs, will back them up 10 right to the 40-yard line, so they'll replay it down. It's going to be first down and 20.
$60 yards and penalties for the Centaurs. So it'll be first and 20. But look out. Here comes Poindexter, and he gets knocked back by Davis and finished off by McDaniel.
And that's a good, sure tackle for Paris McDaniel on the plays and make it a second down, about 14.
So a 6-yard gain for Poindexter. Fred doing some damage. They see a good look at Polk Anthony, the Wildcat quarterback and linebacker and usual running back. Poindexter again spinning his way to midfield and plows his way to the 48-yard line.
So now that brings up a third down and about 8. Again, a good opportunity for this Cougar defense to make a stand here, put the ball back in the hands of their offense.
But right now, they can't stop the running game.
Well, I'm watching them warm up down here on the sideline. They can't even toss the ball to each other.
So it is a complete trick night. The Goblins are really getting into the helmets of the Cougars, and now Polk Anthony doesn't really know what to play. So they better watch out. They're getting close to too much time, and now an offside penalty called.
Yeah.
Number 56, that's Mark Chisholm.
Right. And again, that's one of those high school rules. Unlike college, once you break the neutral zone, even if you get back before the snap, and we'll see right here, you saw him there, that's an automatic flag.
So down to the 43-yard line, or check that, the 44 they're going to call it. So it's going to be third down and 4.
So a third and long becomes a third and short, basically, is the outcome, and changes the equation completely. Let's see, the Cougars are there, though, and they're going to stop him short of the first down by about a yard. And, of course, this will be interesting. I think this is one of those where we saw it in the first half. I think Coach Wright's going to go for it here.
I would. He is. No huddle. From under center, they're going to sneak it. Anthony gets the first down. Down to about the 39-yard line. Good call by Jamal Wright in the Centaurs with 9:07 left to go in the third quarter. 3-yard gain. for Polk Anthony. So Culver City controlling the line, but then Suliasi Vaca, the best defensive lineman, is out for Hawthorne. Look out. That one was tipped up, and it could have been intercepted, but just missed.
Well, that was intended to be a screen play all the way. The screen didn't quite set up as expected. Here you see Polk Anthony dropping back, attempts to lob it just over the screens, hits the hands of his intended receiver, number 25, but he couldn't bring it down. That was
Fred Poindexter, and then Saladin Davis couldn't get a hold of it as Davis gets the handoff, and he bounces back outside and gets all the way down to the 39-yard line, Rufus. Davis's first carry of the second half is a 9-yard gain.
And the Cougars have had virtually no answer for the running game of Culver City tonight, and now it's a 3rd down and short.
So it was what, 1st and 20?
It was 1st and 20. They picked up the 1st down.
That's right.
And now it's 3rd and very short for them. And there's another 1st down.
So another offside on the Hawthorne line. And that's 10 yards and penalties just in this drive. And now.
And both of them have been crucial because the first one.
Marcos Bahena is being replaced after committing that offside, Rufus.
Right, well, the first one took a 4th and short long and made it a 4th and short. And then this one made a 3rd and short, a 1st down.
So it's 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line of Hawthorne and a run down to the 23. Polk Anthony with the carry.
And you got to be impressed with the way Polk Anthony has quarterbacked this team tonight.
There goes again, wide open field, and Davis scampers into the end zone for a 23-yard score. Touchdown, Culver City. It's 20-2 with 7:55 left in the 3rd quarter.
And that one will stand up because there are no flags on the field, as you see the replay here.
And Davis got that out of the Wildcat, right?
And if you're wondering exactly how that happens, you're just told that's exactly how it happened.
Caceros trying to tack on the extra point. And does. So 21-2 with 7:55 left in the 3rd quarter. After Davis, Donovan Davis takes the direct snap and wildcats it into the end zone. $7:55 the time of the score.
Now you can see that Davis, another reach tackle. Nobody able to get near him. Walks into the end zone virtually untouched.
8-play drive, we're going to call it a 70-yard drive. PAT is good.
And now that hole that the Cougars are in, Lou, has just gotten real deep.
Well, a 20-yard play on the first play of the 3rd quarter, plus 10 yards of penalties. A nice assist by the Cougar defense. McDaniel gets it from his own 9-yard line, gets up to the 15, or check that 25,
still
on his feet. Can he get around this man? Yes, he can. A nice block into Centaur territory and ridden out of bounds at the 35-yard line. A nice run back by Paris McDaniel.
And there are no flags on the play. One Cougar getting up a little bit slow. That's number 6, but let's watch the replay and we'll fill you in on that in a moment. Now it's coming out.
That, by my count, Rufus, is a 60-yard return.
That's one of the biggest plays of the night for the Cougars. That was made by Paris McDaniel. And, of course, at the end of the first half, what we saw, Lou, was Coach using them a little bit differently than he had been. Of course, he had been lining them up in the backfield. And the last 2 or 3 plays of the first half, he lined them up in the slot, threw a couple of passes in his direction. He actually made 1 reception. This time they're going back to him in the backfield.
Dot in the I with Jacobo under center, and Culver City didn't get called for the offside.
Wow.
McDaniel has nowhere to go, as Culver City knew he was coming to the left side, and they really loaded up the left side. So we saw Culver City jump offside, but no flag there after 2 on similar plays by Hawthorne.
Hard to explain. But not much of a protest put up by the Cougar side, so apparently whatever it was within the confines of the rules, so we play on.
So another loss of a yard for Paris McDaniel. And handoff again to Paris. And Paris again just trying to get back to the original line of scrimmage.
I think you got to go back. I'm a little surprised that they didn't go back to the set of plays that ended the first half that seemed to have been working so well for them, or at least a little more positively than these plays which have McDaniels coming out of the backfield. I mean, he's trying to find holes, but there's just nothing doing. I mean, they're overloading they're reading. Once he has the ball, the defensive line is just shifting in that direction and creating a wall that he can't get through.
The free safety is only standing back about 8 yards. Everyone else is up. Jacobo throws to the left side, and it's in and out of the hands of his intended receiver. That's Whittington. So it's 4th and 10. So it's got to be 4 down territory right here, Rufus.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't have any choice at this point.
So Whittington ran right into where the defensive back was, and he didn't even have to move because Whittington was coming right at him.
And he had 2 receivers in that territory. Also had Jesse Guerrero in the vicinity. But you're right, the pass was intended for Whittington. Let's see what they come with this time.
Spread offensive set. Jacobo back to pass, looking right, throwing hard far downfield, and that's intercepted inside the 10-yard line by Culver City.
So we got a flag on the field, up the field. In fact, we got a couple of flags.
There.
So, well, there's one here in the backfield. There's
usually where holding is, or roughing the passer. Preliminary indications saw towards Culver City.
Personal foul, Culver City.
So that might be roughing the passer.
Could be. No specific indication of what the personal foul was, but whatever it is, it helps the Cougars tremendously as it keeps their drive alive. Now look at the replay here. Jacobo dropping back the pass. All that looks good.
That was a definite blitz. And yeah, he got leveled by Fred Wadiba. Actually, that's the number 10 was in there as well, Ulysses Santiago. But at any rate, it's 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line.
Yep.
McDaniel gets the handoff.
And the flag comes in from way in the backfield. Boy, that's from the back judge on that one.
So it looks like Hawthorne gave some back on a possible hold.
Yep, that's the indication from Fred Gravett. Holding against the Cougars. Cougars not able to enjoy what little prosperity they've had this evening.
So it goes back to the 30-yard line where it's going to be 1st and 20. Where have we heard that song before?
Yeah, they've got to get down to the 10.
Mapu is split wide to the near side. Double tight end set. Jacobo throws it over the middle, and it goes over the intended receiver, Diego Jimenez. So it'll be 2nd down and 20.
I mean, at some point, I'd just throw some guys in the pass play, like, you know, play that we typically see at this level. A lot of trips left, trips right. I mean, you just got to put something out there to mix these guys up, because right now they've got everything that the Cougars doing figured out.
Well, again, 2 of their top receivers are not playing tonight because of injuries, as Jacobo has to get flushed out of the pocket. Now he's going to run for the sideline, still on his feet.
Picks up
Might
a
have
first
enough
down.
for the first down.
Wow. Well, no, he does. Judging from where I see that official over on the far side.
It's about the 9-yard line, we'll call it.
Yeah.
So we're going to call that a 21-yard run for Carlos Jacobo.
And they move the chains, and it's going to be a 1st and goal from inside the 10-yard line.
Lisalatai comes back in, or Lisalatai, excuse me. Here comes Jacobo coming out of the ball game.
You got to believe he's going to be
Jesse
a target.
Guerrero.
Let's see if they throw left over on Ty's side. He lines up as a tight end, gets
Out of the
down,
eye,
turns
gets
around.
it to McDaniel. McDaniel is hit right as he gets to the line of scrimmage by Jeremy Marrero. As a matter of fact, they didn't call it a loss of a yard.
Okay, man, you got to turn this thing into a jump ball for Ty. I don't know what Ty's skill set is, to be quite honest with you, but as I look at him out there on the field, he's 6'5", he's bigger than anybody else. If nothing else, I'd get the guy to the back of the end zone, throw a jump ball, let him see what he can do.
Jacobo breaks the choir set huddle. Mapu is the only receiver split wide to the near side. Jacobo looks over and throws it incomplete. Somebody didn't run the right route. Or somebody didn't throw the right route.
Looks like it was Mapu, and instead of throwing it to the tallest guy on the field, you throw it to the shortest guy.
Now the only guy receiving, but right now maybe Coach Pacinger's thinking, I need Ty to be a blocker and not a receiver. He's pretty much your bonus left tackle.
Well, if you're going to use him, and you're right, then that means you need to be running the ball.
And now a timeout with 4:54 left to go in the 3rd quarter. One timeout taken by Hawthorne. So Hawthorne trying to get something going. Now Culver City giving them an opportunity with another personal foul, but Hawthorne's got to cash in.
That's what you got to do. That's the operative word. As you said, you got to cash in. And so far, the Cougars haven't shown a propensity for taking advantage of the opportunities that have been presented to them on this night of trick-or-treats. They instead have been tricked, bamboozled, schnoozled, fooled, everything that you can imagine. You're looking for a treat right now, could go a long way to making some of that go away.
They're still not out of the ball game by any means. But they, like we've been saying, a broken record. They got to get things going. Jacobo rolling out, and he's got to be sacked all the way back at the 20-yard line.
Okay, so it's 3rd and goal.
Ulysses Santiago and Poindexter in on the tackles, Rufus. Was that at the 22 now?
22, and an obvious throwing down, I would think.
So it's 4th and goal from the 22 after starting out at the 9-yard line.
That's when you know it's not your night, when 1st and goal from the 9 turns into 4th and goal from the 22. Now McDaniel goes out in the pass pattern.
Salatai is the tight end on the left side, but Jacobo into the end zone and nope, McDaniel thought he might have had a shot at it, but it falls incomplete, and the Centaurs take over on downs. They see it, Rufus, and Paris McDaniel.
Well, it's just not accurate passing, first of all. Again, these are two sophomore quarterbacks, a long way to go in their development as passers. One, you had two receivers to that side of the field. Nothing wrong with that. But a pass thrown that just does not play to the strength of your intended receiver, who was McDaniel.
Polk Anthony and Culver City looking for their first win of the season. Now Davis scampers his way to beyond the 35-yard line and a first down up to about the 37.
Clock stops for him to reset it. Now the official winds it up and tells him, let's keep it moving.
So a 15-yard gain and a first down for Donovan Davis. 3:35, clock rolling left in the third. Anthony hands it off. And Davis, check that, that's Poindexter, gets up to the 45-yard line. So an 8-yard gain.
Make it a second and short. Look over on the far side of the field as we watch the replay coming right into your living room. See Davis with the run. Good tackle by the Cougar defender to bring him down, but not until after he picked up 8 yards.
Second and a short 2 for Culver City. Anthony trying to get the Cougars to get offside, but hands the ball off to Poindexter, and good defense by the Cougars, and no gain.
As a matter of fact, that, okay, let's see where the market, the side marker moved. Actually should have been moving backward, moved forward a bit. So it's a third down and about 1.5 yards.
Sean Horton was the first man to meet him. And then helping finish him off was Lee Salatai.
And now, though, quarterback keeper pushes the ball forward for the necessary 2 yards, makes it a 1st and 10. Ball's going to be spotted right on the midfield stripe.
So a 2-yard gain and a first down for Culver City. Out of the pistol set. Pass is just in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. That was James Marrero.
And also in and out of the hands of the unintended defender, and that was Paris McDaniel, as you'll see on the replay here. When you stay with it, there we see McDaniel's boy with a shot at it, hit him right in the shoulder pad.
That would have been a nice
nice forced turnover, absolutely. Absolutely, boy.
It's too bad that Hawthorne can't control the line enough to get some pressure on Polk Anthony, because he's obviously inexperienced at throwing the ball. Fred Gravette calling timeout.
Band not allowed to play during the possession of the opponent. And
Polk Anthony keeping the ball, gets enough for the first down and then some, finally caught from behind by Horton. Forward progress ends at the 36-yard line. So maybe now some tempers are flaring down in the field.
Just a little bit of frustration maybe setting in on this Cougar team as they, again, and need some opportunities, need some breaks.
So that's a first down after the 14-yard gain. Polk Anthony having himself a heck of a ball game.
Yep.
Out of the pistol set. Anthony hands it off to Poindexter, and he had a huge hole right up the middle to go through, and is still moving the pile forward to the 20-yard line. So that's a 16-yard gain. And we have a penalty flag back around the line of scrimmage, though, Rufus. So let's hold everything.
And
there's a reason why there was a big hole.
There was holding against the Centaurs, and so that's going to back them up 10. It's going to make it a 1st and 20. Got to take them all the way back to the midfield stripe, just about, maybe even.
About the 45-yard line.
I'm sorry, I said the midfield stripe. It'll be the 40. You're right, the 45. Yep.
So 1st and 19, we'll call it.
Under a minute left here in the third. Clock will start to run now.
Some of the Hawthorne linemen trying to lean in towards see what's going on in the Culver City huddle, as if that might do anything.
Right.
Man in motion, and the man in motion gets the ball on the quasi end around, and taking the ball for a ride is Evan Tillman. Gets it down to about the 30-yard line.
Well, gets a lot of that 1st and 19 back, or 1st and 20. Now makes it a 2nd down and about 8.
Down to the 33, we'll call it. Or 34.
Well, actually, okay, and looking from where they've got it marked, well, the guys on the yard marker crew not helping us out a whole lot, but it looks like it's going to be 3rd and relatively long.
We'll call it 3rd and 7-ish.
Right.
With 34.5 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Swing pass on the naked screen, and Davis gets to the 30-yard line and is tackled around the 29. So looks like they're going to let the clock run out with 20 seconds left in the third quarter. 4 yards on the pass. And it'll be 4th down and about 3.
And again, as we've seen before, I think obviously territory where if you coach right, you're more than likely going to go for it. But that signals the end of the third quarter, so they'll change sides. And now the Centaurs' backs will be to us as they head into the northern end zone, or toward the northern end zone. We'll say they're heading. Won't say they're heading in yet, but they're certainly pointing in that direction, fans. We've got 3 quarters in the books, and it's a 21-2 ball game in a contest in which the Hawthorne Cougars, first of all, just to say, I mean, he never came out with the required energy in order to be competitive in this game. And look, if they were looking at it as a playoff game, the players didn't get that memo. They just have not had it. Now, as we mentioned before, they've had a couple of injuries, and you're starting to see how valuable some guys can be to your program. I mean, the fact that Neal and Neely are out has just had an unbelievable impact on this team. You look at last week's game against El Segundo, it doesn't even look like the same team.
Not at all.
Forget the score against El Segundo. That team was competitive. They fought, and they fought, and they fought. And tonight's team.
Again, remember El Segundo kept their #1 offense on the field for the entire game and physically beat up the Cougars And maybe that's having a mental effect on them as well tonight.
It could be because the Cougars were like a tenacious boxer though last week. I mean, they took every punch and kept swinging. And tonight, they've barely thrown one punch of their own in terms of anything offensively. They've had the one big play on the return by McDaniel that was 60-some yards. They had the ball at 1st and goal from the 9. Didn't capitalize.
No, that was huge for the Cougars not to complete that. And I'm looking at where the ball is marked and the down marker. Isn't it 4th down? No, it says 3rd down. Well, wait a minute. Is it 3rd down or 4th down? And then it was 4th and 3, I thought, not 4th and 5.
Right.
Okay. So I thought maybe we had
right, and
had some little gremlins running around here too.
And the guys, and that's what they've got. The chain marker that was supposed to be a little farther back was out of position.
And if our own, my back's always been out of position for a while. But
Except
4th and 3, I mean, if our gremlin Manny says so, then that's
right.
so.
But here's the key though. On the field, they've got it. They're showing the yard marker as 3rd and 3.
Yeah.
And now, whatever it is, it's going to be a
well,
first down.
Well, we got a flag on the field.
Well, it's offside against the Cougars. So forget
it's a moot
the 3
point.
yards. Forget whether it was 4th down or 3rd down. Now it's going to be 1st down. So.
Down to the 24-yard line. So Hawthorne nailed. They've only had one holding penalty, Rufus, but all the penalties against them have been big.
Right, and they've had 2 that have resulted in first downs for Culver City, both on 4th and shorts.
Polk Anthony.
Ball's loose.
Still loose. It's still loose. Finally fallen on.
Is a Culver City Centaur. Cougars just cannot catch a break tonight.
And that ball sat up there and said, "Catch me, please." And the big old number 69 gets off of it. Diego Sandoval.
See on the replay here, that's Polk Anthony with the carry. That's the first time it comes loose. There in the pile, stripped. Still loose. Gets kicked around a little bit. Guys reach for it. Still loose, and finally.
So after all that, Anthony gets credit for a 5-yard gain. It's going to be second or a 4-yard gain at least. Second and a long 5 from the 20-yard line. Fred Poindexter in the backfield with Anthony. Still not really sure about the call. And a timeout taken by the Centaurs. That's their second timeout. Or check that, first timeout.
Whenever in doubt, take a timeout.
So Anthony and Poindexter were dancing around trying to figure out where they were supposed to be, and Jamal Wright said, all right, enough of this, with 11:16 left to go in the fourth quarter. And a 21-20 lead for Culver City, looking for their first win of the season.
Well, I think your eyes got crisscrossed there. At 21-2.
That's right.
I wish it was 21-20. I wish it was 21-20.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit crossed up. So we're talking about El Segundo and how they just physically and mentally whipped the Cougars here last week. Last night, the Lawndale Cardinals gained a little respect by only allowing 34 points, or 35 points, was it?
35 points, I believe it was a 35-10 ball game. 35-14, is that what it was?
That's what I have written down, but the way I've been speaking, I don't know. Handoff to Poindexter. Gets it down to the 19. Poindexter's 7th carry. And it'll be 3rd down and 4.
35-14 was the final last night. Lawndale played them tough in the first quarter, 7-7, and actually went into the locker room at halftime only down 21-14, and were shut out in the second half as El Segundo put up 14 points.
Anthony keeps it, goes right up the middle, and is tackled by Paris McDaniel. But Anthony gets down to the 10-yard line, 9-yard line, so a gain of 10. It'll be 1st and goal from the 9.
But you know, as it was looking over some of the stats for the Ocean League, the thing that stood out to me, Lou, was not that Newbar is leading the league with 1,800, almost 1,900 passing yards, but that Chris Murray at Lawndale has 1,200 passing yards.
Really?
I was impressed by that. Very much.
That is impressive.
He's the number 2 passing quarterback in the Ocean League.
Anthony out of the pistol has Poindexter with him. Hands the ball off right up the middle. Down inside the 5-yard line goes Poindexter. Down to about the 3, where Salatai finally wraps him up. So to call that a 5-yard gain. So it'll be 2nd goal there.
2nd and goal. This Hawthorne Cougar defense looking for anything, looking to force a turnover, anything that they can do to keep this Centaur team out of the end zone.
And Fred Poindexter goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Culver City. Sean Horton had a shot at him, but Poindexter wriggled out of it and into the end zone for the touchdown. And it's 27-2 in favor of the Centaurs. So Fred Poindexter caps off the drive. A 78-yard drive.
Extra points up and good, so that'll make it 28-2 now.
78 yards and 14 plays. A good drive put together by the Centaurs. A long drive as well. 9:07 is the time now, left in the 4th quarter. 3:56 left in the 3rd quarter is when they started it. So 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 7, almost 8 minutes.
And as the Cougars prepare to receive this kickoff, does give us an opportunity to remind you that next week's contest will feature the Lawndale Cardinals at Lawndale.
So we'll be at the Nest next week.
We'll be at the Nest next week. And there'll be a couple of angry birds coming off of, as we already mentioned, yesterday's defeat against El Segundo.
Pooch kick is fumbled around and fallen on. Inside the 24-yard line.
Well, they bumped into each other. That was number 83 for the Cardinals. Bumping into, that's James Whittington, and he bumped into Jaleel Enriquez, number 44. Ball came loose, but the Cougars were able to recover.
So now we'll see, with 9:06 left to go in the 4th quarter, if the Cougars have anything to get them in the end zone.
Well, they've got a lot of real estate to maneuver to get there, first of all. I mean, they've got to go, 63 yards? Thereabouts, 64?
Oh, 66. Uh-oh. Looks like one of the receivers for Hawthorne took off too soon, and that was Jesse Guerrero, one of the kids taken over for Messrs. Neely and Neal. Guerrero, just a sophomore, and Whittington, a junior, taking over for, well, two super sophomores in Neal and Neely. Ball is complete.
Boy, and that was complete to Diego Jimenez.
But you only got 2 yards out of it.
Well, 2 in the right direction, though.
This is true. So it'll be 2nd and 8. And maybe that'll give Jacobo a little more confidence to throw it a little bit farther. Baby steps.
Baby steps. Well, you got to give the Cougars credit. I mean, they've tried a little bit of everything.
Ball is zipped, and that should have been
Wow.
caught.
Now
Instead, it's intercepted.
And that interception is by none other than Ulysses Santiago.
Second interception for Jacobo at the 8:20 mark. So that one was fired and just missed. I believe that was Guerrero that was the intended receiver.
So the Cougar faithful getting a little unhappy right now as they're seeing the wheels just about completely come off the bus tonight.
Just inside of Hawthorne territory is Polk Anthony and the Centaurs. Hands the ball off. And it looked like Poindexter, but it also could be Khalil Hooper, number 26.
Well, I thought it was Hooper with the carry. And, of course, if that is the case, then you know it's not your night when the backups to the backups are playing.
So Hooper with 8 yards on the carry, down to the 41. And a timeout on the field with 7:47 left to go. Let's go down to Egidio.
Well, thank you, guys. It's been a scary night here for the Hawthorne Cougars on Halloween night. Did you know, a little bit of interesting fact here will lighten up the mood, that Coach Pasinger played in the NFL in 1983. And what team did he play for? My favorite team, the Detroit Lions. He played 1 year as a linebacker, hurt his back. He had to resign and then chose a different career path. But also his son now, Spencer Pasinger, plays for the New York Giants. Not only does he play, but he's the starting linebacker, and he was also part of that Oregon team that played Auburn for the national championship game. So a little trivia fact for you guys up there. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Egidio. And the Pasinger family is one of the more accomplished families in L.A. County. Of course, one of the brothers, is he still one of the coaches, coordinators at Beverly Hills High?
Beverly Hills, and another with LAPD.
And the principal, is the running game is principal here for Culver City, as that's Hooper again. And he gets it down inside the 35-yard line to about the 33.
See on the replay here, just up the gut running. And all night long, the Cougars have been really, really slack on the tackling.
And cousin Earl Pasinger is one of the assistant chiefs on the LAPD. When I wear my news hat, he was my go-to guy when he was the commander of the 77th Street station.
So these guys get you going and coming, huh?
Yeah, that's right. And you don't want to tick any of them off.
Right.
Out of the pistol, there goes Hooper, gets out of a tackle from Davis, and finally brought down in the secondary. Down to the 25-yard line. And another 8-yard gain. Third 8-yard gain in a row for Hooper. With 6:45, clock rolling.
Not fast enough, but rolling.
Check that, 2nd down and 2. Pistol set for Polk Anthony, who's gone all the way at quarterback, and now he's going to take a turn, pick his way past the 25-yard line. Let's see how they unstack him.
They unstack it as
first
a first down.
Now somebody's having a Halloween party up here. So the ball is right at the 20-yard line. So a 5-yard gain and a first down for Polk Anthony.
And as you see Polk Anthony, number 9 there on your field, you goes, man, he doesn't look like a quarterback at all. And as I've told you before, that's because he's not a quarterback. He's a running back, but he's one of those guys, as I talked about before, that just can do everything on the field. And they asked him to step up and be the quarter, and he's done it and done a very good job of it tonight.
Hooper gets the direct handoff coming across and gets down near the 10-yard line. Is he beyond the 10? Well, it's a handoff right to Hooper. Just outruns Davis. Poor Soladine's been out there seemingly every play. So it's 1st and goal. We'll call it from the 9.
And when we talk about what's next for this Culver City team, boy, they've got Beverly Hills next. And you don't want to take anybody lightly, but the Normans of Beverly Hills are also struggling this season.
Handoff to Hooper. Gets around one man, racing for the end zone and into the end zone. Touchdown, Culver City. Have a flag on the play right about the 8-yard line. We'll see what that one is.
It's going to be an illegal procedure against Culver City, so that'll bring it back. We're talking a little bit about the rest of their schedule. We already know that the Cougars next week will play Lawndale in a game for pride. Culver City, on the other hand, will take on the Normans of Beverly Hills. And Beverly Hills having a tough season. They went into the Knights competition at 0-3, 1-7.
So -5 on the illegal motion, and it's 1st and goal from the 14. Polk Anthony hands the ball off, and right up the middle, inside the 5-yard line, the rugby scrum is finally whistled to a halt. And going to call that about a 10-yard gain by Mr. Hooper. Down to the 5, they're going to mark that, so a 9-yard gain. So, is that 3rd and goal now? Or 2nd goal from the 5. Hooper gets the handoff and finally is gang tackled after a 1-yard gain. So good defense. Ty got in there first to make Hooper try to run around him.
Cougar defense stiffening here with their backs against the goal. Like the defensive intensity that they're showing in a game that at this point has gotten away from them with 4:30 left, and they're trailing by 26 points. But they're still showing that Cougar resolve, no quit in this team.
3rd and goal from the 4-yard line. Polk Anthony barking out the signals and gives it to Hooper, and wide open. Touchdown is the call. Into the end zone until a Cougar got a hold of Hooper, but before that it was too late. So 34-2 is the score with 4:08 left to go. And who's that? Paris McDaniel trying to prevent the touchdown. So another 4-yard run this time by Hooper.
Extra point attempt coming up.
Snap back, ball down, kick is through with 4:08. It's 35-2. An unintentional run. So off the interception, the Centaurs make quick work of 49-yard drive.
Right. And this is just about the time of year when you start to think about not only next week, if you're the Hawthorne Cougars, you start to think about next year.
9 plays, 49 yards. Cahill Hooper with the touchdown. Well, for next year, well, you have
a couple of good quarterbacks.
Couple of good quarterbacks, couple of good receivers, as the pooch kick is caught and downed. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Cougars, just inside the 35-yard line. Let's go down to McCall.
All right, you guys, it's all smiles down on the Culver City sideline. They've actually broken 300 rushing yards tonight. And as the team just came off of the field during that last drive, offensive coordinator Aki Wilson let the team know, now that's how you play smash mouth football. It's working out for them tonight. Looks like they're going to take home a nice victory, headed back to Culver City, and back to you guys.
Their first victory, McCall.
Their first victory of the season. All the more reason to feel good about it. And they've got a little more football left. They've got another game left in this season.
Jacobo trying to hit Jesse Guerrero. Had it almost picked off again. With 4:02 left to go in the fourth quarter.
Well, you know, they're still trying, still fighting, but as you said, just weapons short tonight. And also ran into, you got to give this Culver City team a lot of credit. They ran into a Culver City team that played tonight the way, and we talked about this several weeks ago when we saw them, what the expectations were of this team. They're new to the Ocean League, just as Lawndale is, and so it's been a period of adjustment, and they're getting started with it. Boy, Jacobo stays on his field, still running.
Jacobo has a chance. He's got one more man to beat, and just gets tripped up at the 22-yard line. Here comes a flag. Let's hope it's not an illegal block. We got a flag at the 28-yard line, a flag at the Hawthorne 41. And let's hope that that beautiful run by Carlos Jacobo all the way down to the 21-yard line isn't for naught.
Well, we'll certainly see it on the replay in a moment. Let's let them sort it out first before we go to that replay and let the officiating crew tell us what we got here.
A 46-yard run is on the line. So we have a hold against Culver City and a hold against Hawthorne. We're going to do it all over again. A mulligan on Halloween.
Yep. Well, that's what happens when you're the Cougars tonight. It just can't get anything to go your way.
That's just kind of like taking this field and putting it on a 60-degree slope as you watch it here, Rufus.
And that was the first penalty there. That's that was number 9, Saladin Davis. We saw something up the field that happened.
And now Jacobo looking for somebody to throw it to.
You got to get your feet set if you're going to throw it, son. Or either keep running.
Well, he's going to get swarmed under by some white jerseys.
And that's a part of what happens. At some point, you got to make a decision. You got to know the field. You got to know where your line of scrimmage is. And you either got to set your feet and throw the ball, understand scrambling and getting out. And if you make the decision to run, then stay with it and run. But you can't decide to run and then, oh, change, I'm going to throw it.
The receivers also have to sense that Jacobo's in trouble, break their routes, and get open for him, too. As he really got a welcome party hit by number 64, who's not on our roster for Culver City. 2:45, clock rolling, left to go. Spread offense, and the ball is handed off. And running down the right sideline, the far sideline, is Paris McDaniel. McDaniel inside the 20 and just barely gets shoved out of bounds. That's Saladin Davis, excuse me, with a huge run. All the way down. Where are they going to mark this?
Mark it down inside the 20 at about the 18.
Now let's call it 17. Call that a 51-yard run. First and 10 with 2:31 left to go. Line of scrimmage was the 33-yard line all the way down to the 17 or 16-yard line, actually. 17-yard line is what the scorekeeper's calling it. Jacobo looking for somebody to throw to, going to the end zone. The pass is short, but it's caught.
That was
in the end zone. Touchdown, Cougars.
So they finally make the connection, and on the receiving there was Paris McDaniel.
So 17-yard pass from Jacobo to McDaniel. And let's see, are they going to go for two?
Well, it hung up there so long, it was.
I thought the ball was short.
Right.
The pass was short, but somehow McDaniel corralled that thing. They're going to go for the two-point conversion and in the end zone. And the two-point conversion is good by McDaniel. So he's responsible for 8 points.
So it makes
So it's 35-10. Is that correct?
35-10 is correct. 8 and 2 equals 10.
So that was just a 1, 2, 3, 4 play drive.
Well, you're down by 25. Unfortunately, you only got 2 minutes, 25 seconds left in the game. So the sands of time are obviously not on your side. You're going to set up an onside kick attempt. They're expecting that. They're going to have all of their guys up to make the recovery. They'll get a short field to work with.
So after a couple of interceptions and a 2-yard pass, Carlos Jacobo connects with a 17-yard pass, and that's got to be a confidence builder for him.
Absolutely.
After being out for about what, 3-4 weeks?
3 or 4 weeks, but it still should be Maypew, although he didn't have a good game tonight, has shown that it's going to be some competition for that starting quarterback position.
Well, that's good. An onside kick, and it didn't really go far enough. But not taking any chances was Jeremy Marrero with the good hands crew up front. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Centaurs at the Hawthorne 46-yard line.
There you said only went about 7, maybe 7.5 yards. But as long as an offensive player is the first to touch the ball in that 10-yard zone that the ball must travel, then it's a legal play.
Officially, we'll call it the 46-yard line. Now at quarterback is Quintarius Truitt taking over. Polk Anthony putting in a good day's work for Coach Jamal Wright. Ball is handed off to another new running back, Willie Williams.
Well, this is
Didn't he play center field for the Royals back in the 80s?
Actually, in all fairness to the Royals, that would have been Willie Mays Aiken.
Well, he played first base. Willie
Okay.
Wilson, that's who I'm thinking of.
There you go.
Willie Mays Aiken starting his career off with the Angels. Ball is handed off, and is that Davis? Donovan Davis still running out there. And he gets down to the 35-yard line, so that's good enough for a first down. 8 yards on the play for Donovan. That was his 13th carry of the night. Under 2 minutes. There you see the time and the score. Actually, it is 35-10. Centaurs switching up the play at the line of scrimmage. Williams carrying the ball with 2 hands and is wrapped up by Saladin Davis after a 2-yard gain.
Wow, and for Culver City, I was just thinking and wondering when their senior night was going to be. It would have been last week when they played Santa Monica, and they had a tough loss in that game, 49-0. But they will close out. And so on the road tonight here at Hawthorne and next week at Beverly Hills.
Whistles all over the place on that. And an offside on the Cougars. So it's no wonder that Eric Holmes was in there in a hurry.
Well, the Cougars' objective right now, modest though it may be, is obviously to keep this team out the end zone. I mean, if nothing else, that's just a little pride factor they're playing for, especially when it's all of their backups that are now out on the field. Clock stops momentarily to move the chains for first down.
Hooper with the first down run, Rufus.
We're inside a minute as the clock rolls under 50 seconds remaining.
Hooper with a 6-yard gain. And down to the 20-yard line. Goes Williams. But he is met and rudely treated by Meshach Maggio. A 1-yard gain.
And this should be the final play of the game if they in fact snap it and they take a knee in a demonstration of sportsmanship. Game over, essentially, having been over with a final of 35-10.
So 35-10 is our final score. And Culver City improves to 1-8, 1-3 in Ocean League action. They snap an 8-game losing streak. Hawthorne falls to 3-6 on the season and 1-3 in Ocean League. And that pretty much wraps up their hopes of going to the playoffs in their first Ocean League swim.
Well, it certainly does for them, and you know they came in with high expectations, but their energy level simply didn't match it. Injuries also had an impact on them, and things just never quite came together for them. And when it did, with 2:25 left, it was obviously a day late and a dollar short. But
so Polk Anthony was the big player for the Culver City Centaurs, that's for sure, doing it mostly on the ground, and did a whale of a job. Plus, it seemed to me, Rufus, that the Centaurs really controlled the offensive and defensive line.
Well, they certainly did, and I think that Polk Anthony did more than just what he did on the ground. I think just his whole game management made a big difference, and he led his team and led it effectively. And again, as we said, this is a guy that's not a regular quarterback. You look in the program, you look on Max Prep or wherever, he's listed as a running back. You see him in person, you realize he's a running back. But he came out and did a great job. He didn't look like, it's one thing to throw a guy back there and say, okay, hey, I need you to do this. But you're talking about a guy who was able to manage and knew what he was doing.
All right, and going to get an interview with Coach Pasinger and Sebastian Spencer. And any positives that Heath can take away from this, you think, before he gets with Sebastian?
That's a good question. I don't know,
All
except
right.
for his quarterbacks. Okay, go ahead.
Let's go down to Sebastian.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I got Coach Pasinger here. Coach, tough loss tonight for you guys. I know you went in there with a lot of injuries, didn't have a lot of the starters that you would have liked to have for this game. How do you get these guys together for a game like this and just try to bring them in together?
You just keep talking to them, motivate them about playoff opportunities and stuff. It was just tough.
Definitely, and I know you got a lot on your hands. We were just talking about how young these guys are, and how do you keep motivating them in practice every week?
It's part of the game. You got to motivate them. You got to keep talking to them. This week we're playing Lawndale. That's a rival game, so we're gonna build it up as a rival game.
Good luck to you, Coach. Thank you. All right. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Sebastian Spencer. And our player of the game tonight, since it's senior night, what do you think?
Hey, I think we should recognize and honor the seniors, many guys who've been at this for 4 years now. One thing about playing football is that whether you're on the field or in practice, you give a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's a lot of practice. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of injuries that don't show up in the injury report. You're constantly bruised up, but you come back time and time again. And for those young men who tonight represented, in terms of playing in front of their home crowd, the grand finale of their career here at Hawthorne, disappointing as it was, I think it's still very special, and it's been a very special run for them because they've been through the ups and the downs, but they've seen and been a part of this program turning and going in the right direction.
All right, well, the players of the game are the Hawthorne Cougars seniors. Well, that's going to wrap it up from Halcap Field, where the final score, Culver City Centaurs defeat the Hawthorne Cougars on senior night, 35-10. For Sebastian Spencer and the rest of the award-winning crew, I'm Lou Stowers saying until next time, so long.